Things have been looking pretty rough for the crypto market, with HBAR down about 5% on just today. It hasn't been looking the greatest. Bitcoin went back down to about $112,000, and Ethereum, for the first time in a long time, has gone under $4,000. I wanted to go ahead and go over the macro markets, what's going on with September, and also things in regards to HBAR ETF filings. We also have some airdrop news that's coming at the end of this month. So that's what this video is going to be about. So let's go ahead and get into it. So I want to start by talking about the actual chart. Now, HBAR right now is at about 22-ish cents. And I don't know if we've been looking at historical averages, but we've touched this point a couple times before over the past year. This is a pretty critical point for HBAR. Now, I am a person that likes to gamble with odds in his favor. And we've had a crash here over the entire crypto market during a time where historically we've had a correction. I mean, it's normal to have a correction by the end of September. Usually September has blood, and there's good reason for this blood. Now, this is a phenomena, actually. This is an actually studied thing, the September effect, where September actually is the worst performing calendar month over the past century. The past 100 years, the S&P 500 has experienced an average decline of about 1.1%. We can explain it several ways. One of them is not our way. The one that happened this year was actually pretty positive for us. The Fed went ahead and gave us positive results. The other one is tax loss harvesting, where people, they go on vacation and then they decide to reposition and sell their cryptocurrencies or they sell their equities. I think this is the more likely scenario. And the last thing, which I don't think people talk about, is algorithmic funds don't really operate during September. They kind of just drop off after earnings and they wait until October to actually start functioning again. So October is likely going to be when volume kicks up again, and that's why we see these runs naturally in the markets. This isn't a human effect. This is more of bots kind of correlating the macro markets with a specific time of the year. And that has led to, historically, this kind of price action, not great price action. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually grab my phone right now. We are on Blowfin. I'll leave the link in the description if you guys want to go ahead and trade in there as well. They have sign-up bonuses. You guys know the jazz with these exchanges. But I'm going to go ahead and do a long here, about 5x. Buy it right now. And the reason that I'm doing it, and we have it filled right now. So the reason I'm doing it is because I'm expecting a bounce from what is happening right now. I'm expecting a bounce because of the fact that these algorithmic funds by the end of the month are going to kick back up, and we are going to get some volume into the crypto markets. October is going to be a pretty solid month. Reasons to be bullish. This is the amount of Fed rate cuts that are being predicted for 2025. Now, we didn't really expect a 75 basis point cut at all. Most people were not expecting a 75 basis point cut. In August, we had about a 9% odd of happening. Now that odd has spiked to 65%. Which means that we're going to get some pretty aggressive cuts coming at the end of this year. Now, I don't think we're going to get that 100 basis point cut. The odds are not that great, but the odds for a 75 basis point cut is very high. In fact, we're expecting another rate cut in October. That's almost guaranteed to happen. It's over 90% odds for a rate cut in October. That's an absolutely huge deal. And for someone that is looking to get into the markets during a time where things are going well. Another reason that I'm longing HBAR right now is this right here. So this is not a big deal. On face value, it's not a big deal because this doesn't really mean much, but it's Canary Capital. They're one of the funds or one of the companies that filed for an HBAR ETF, and they filed a pre-effective amendment to its HBAR ETF application. It doesn't really mean anything, but it does mean that there's being progress made toward this application actually going through. And before you go and you keep saying, oh, but this thing's never going to happen, I've been waiting for a couple months. Well, October is pretty much the only time that this can actually happen. October is the time where a lot of these ETFs are kind of coming into light and are actually able to launch. So the timing coincides that we're going to get this rate cut. We've had 2 rate cuts in a row. We've also had a big deal with ETFs more than likely hopping on. I mean, we had the Rex Osprey XRP ETF that launched, and it was a big deal. I mean, we had the Rex Osprey ETF that had $37 million worth of volume. It's the biggest ETF launch of the year. ETF launch. Biggest one of the year. The XRP one. I don't know if you knew this, but HBAR's audience is pretty closely related to XRP. So one could assume that there's a large retail audience or large institutional audience that wants to buy stuff when it comes to these ETFs. And so that's going to be a very big deal. It's a very big deal for the price action. And once these funds kick up again, that's going to lead to a lot of volume. So several reasons to be pretty bullish, at least short term, on HBAR, XRP, etc. We have other things here for the HBAR markets. This is Origin. I've been talking about this airdrop farm for a while. They finally announced the end of their campaign. So this is happening on September 30th. Right now we're in September 23rd. So if you're going to farm this, I'll still leave the link in the description, but people have been farming this for months. You're not going to get nearly as much money as a person that's been farming it since day one. I think we can all agree with that. But if you've been farming Origin with me, this is literally the easiest airdrop farm. It's the only airdrop farm. I know a lot of people have been asking me about airdrop farms, so this is the most obvious one. All you had to do was literally stake your HBAR and just click on the page and join our squad. Like, it was that easy to go ahead and join this thing. And so their farming campaign is going to end on September 30th, and their platform is going to go live November 1st. So we're going to expect some way in between here, maybe in November, the actual token launch. And that would be very exciting if we actually got ETF launches. The likelihood of an HBAR token doing well would go much higher. These guys are just trying to do a launch pad for early stage investment opportunities. Whether or not it works out doesn't really matter, because all you really care about realistically is the free tokens that you're getting for staking your HBAR. I mean, it's free money. We're not going to be here going around and not taking free money if we have the opportunity to get free money. So that is absolutely what we're going to be doing here. Absolutely. Other things I've noticed on the HBAR page, they've been talking a lot about attending events, attending these like RWA Singapore partner announcement. This over here, where they're speaking at Sibos, the future of digital money, and Project Acacia. That's the stablecoin for the Australian dollar that's going to be possibly happening on HBAR. One of HashFear. Very interesting. That is interesting to me because this wasn't really happening last year. I don't know if you were around on HBAR last year, but last year we didn't really have a lot of these. This is a fresh new thing that's happening with HBAR. These guys are just going out there and actually getting the word out. We didn't have that happening for the longest time. So they're preparing for something big here in the near term future. There would be no reason for them to advertise so much otherwise. This is a change in strategy, a fundamental change in strategy that HBAR is doing right now that I actually think is great. Now, in terms of the HBAR ecosystem and what's happening on the HBAR ecosystem, memes have been going down. Dove has been going down. Pretty much everybody's been going down. There were some enormous runs that were happening, and they have started to cool off. That is pretty much the best explanation of what is happening right now. We are waiting for the next big leg up. Once HBAR hits over 30, 40 cents, then we're going to expect the ecosystem to kick back up. I would kind of just stay away for the most part. I mean, I have my utility coins packed. I've got some memes packed, but I'm holding mostly just HBAR. If I hold my HBAR, I'm probably going to do much better than trying to complicate it and buy all these different things. I already traded that opportunity. The opportunity has kind of come and went. Now it's all about just seeing HBAR go up. If HBAR goes up, then these ecosystem plays are going to get a lot more heated. And the last thing I want to talk about is this right here. This is U.S. lawmakers asking the SEC to open 401k retirement plans to crypto. Very cool. 401k, I mean, that's trillions of dollars that could potentially enter the crypto markets. That's a $12.5 trillion market that could be potentially coming up and being a thing. Back in August, Trump signed his executive order permitting crypto to be featured as an option for 401ks. And the U.S. lawmakers are asking the SEC to actually go ahead and implement this. So, very interesting. We encourage the SEC to provide swift assistance to the Secretary of Labor and to make any necessary revisions to its current regulations and guidance. We also request the SEC review bipartisan legislation, and they want to get this passed. I mean, this is going to be a big deal for crypto. Imagine this coinciding at the same time as rate cuts, coinciding at the same time as these ETFs pop up live, coinciding at the same time as these algorithmic funds starting to trade again. I mean, it's like a storm. There's a reason October is such a positive month for equity markets, because everything kind of coincides at the same time. It's as if they know that making this happen at the same time as a huge liquidity injection is just going to make a parabolic run. And that's probably exactly what's happening here. We don't need to overthink it. We kind of just need to know that the odds are in our favor right now. So let me know your thoughts in the comments section. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead, like, subscribe for more videos, stay classy, and I'll see you all later.